Hey everyone, welcome to Zack Attack Reviews. Thank you for joining me for my review of V for Vendetta, a movie that's been on my watch list for a long time and I've always just never gotten to it. But I'm doing a Throwback Thursday series on my channel and my subscribers have voted for this one. So remember to hit that subscribe button and join on the fun of Throwback Thursdays as well. I'm super excited to talk about this movie because I went in with high expectations and the movie blew my expectations out the water. But was it perfect? I'm going to talk about it when I break down the good and the bad for V for Vendetta. Let's start with the good. Hugo Weaving as V. Great, amazing performance. It is amazing because he does it behind a mask the whole movie. We never see his face. I didn't even know it was him until I went to go look at the IMDb and check out the cast. And I was like, wow, this is a great actor that's been going on for such a long time. I didn't even realize it was him. He has such a commanding voice, a charismatic way that he moves his body. And you can always kind of tell by V having a mask what was going on in his head and what he was feeling at the time. And that's a masterful performance if you can do that behind a mask that doesn't move. I think that he did a great job being a standout in this film and making the character V feel like a poetic anti-hero, a rebellious spirit that encompasses a lot of the different kinds of rebellious people that we've had in real life. And this movie hits on a lot of realistic things. And I think that was one of my favorite parts about it. It is, especially in 2023, with everything that's happened with the pandemic, everything that this movie talks about and touches on in terms of government control and the things that they may do to instill fear into their people in order for them to make a lot of money. A lot of things that was revealed in this film about why V was so angry and so vengeful. Some things that people think that happened in 2020 with the actual pandemic. We recently found out that a lot of the governments and other companies made a lot of money off this vaccine. It's something that also happened in this movie. And a lot of the things that happened in this film just feel reflective of a lot of things that's happened recently. So it really hits home for me to watch this right now because we went through something that people might feel like similar. So the social commentary here just on that level is great, but there's so many layers to this movie that they peel back, which was what made this movie great. They start off in a certain way and they don't give you all the information. They give you a little bit of V's inspiration, who inspires the character with the history lesson that goes on. And then they bring you to present day. And Natalie Portman's Evie, or Evie, I'm not exactly sure how you pronounced it, is like a co-lead here. The story is just about much about her as it is about V. And I really like that because he's such a mysterious character. We don't really get to know anything about his family, what we know like kind of what he likes. He likes art. He likes classical music. He likes to dance, but we don't really get to know him because that's all part of his act that he's doing and trying to impress her. We really get to know her. We see what she goes through, and she represents that person that wants to do something, but has all that fear instilled in her because of the way the government and the society has done things. And the fact that her family in itself was people who were revolutionaries and then they get taken away and she never sees them again, it instills that fear. And you can think about that in terms of a lot of things that go on in the real world, whether it's the Black Lives Matter movement or oppression on Asian hate or just a lot of different minority groups that are oppressed or religious groups that are oppressed or being attacked. Why people are not doing things about it? Because somebody tries and then they either get killed, they disappear, something else happens. And the people like, well, I don't want that to happen to me. I want to live. And, we always want to preserve our own life over just trying to start a revolution. So the commentary on that with her character and how they built it out, I think Natalie Portman did a great job playing this character that felt kind of like a character that was lost and going through the motions. And as she started understanding the essence of what her parents were and then how V started to influence her and how it was in her the whole time, but she just needed to go through something hard, something rough to get it out of her. I thought all that was really well written. Overall, the movie is really, really well written because of the way the story is told. At first, I was like, I don't know if I'm really getting into this, and I'll talk more about that in the bad section when I get to the bad. But as soon as like the layers of the movie started getting peeled back, and they'll introduce something like, oh, okay, and then they'll open that up a little bit more and they start tying everything together. I thought it was fantastic. On top of that, the world build was really, really great. Little things that I haven't seen in a film before, like they show all these families watching the TV when V first does his first broadcast. And then when that newscaster takes over the news show and makes fun of the High Council, you see the kids and the family and stuff like that continuously watching it, and you think, why do they keep going back to these citizens? Why do we care? Go back to the regular film. But then it ties back in because then one of the little girls that we kept seeing ends up wearing a V mask, spray painting, and her death, because she gets killed by somebody, an onlooker, is the thing that lights a lot of people in the revolution to start coming together and believing in V. Because in this story, he tells everyone that he's going to blow up one of their symbols in a year on November 5th. Which is the exact same thing as the guy that they showed in the beginning of the movie he was trying to do and fail. And I thought that the way all that ties it together and it all comes together really well in terms of the world building and the environmental storytelling, because the way they built out London is so gothic and grunge, almost kind of like how the Batman in '89 was before Batman Returns, where Tim Burton really took it real gothic, like right before that, and like how this movie reminded me a lot of the tone of Batman '89. Serious, but it has kind of a quirky moments here and there, like with the way V was talking in the beginning with all the viscerin, vicarin. All that stuff he was saying in the beginning was kind of playful and funny, and then the commercials and stuff like that. There was a lot of playful, funny moments sprinkled throughout all the darker, layered tones that the film was going after. Another great thing about this was the action. It wasn't a lot of it, and maybe not as much as I would like. I'll talk about that later. But the action that we did get was well choreographed and exciting and thrilling. They made V and feel like this unstoppable force, even though he was human. I really like they did that because he was always talking about he's an idea. An idea cannot be stopped. And they found clever ways for him to get out of situations that he probably wouldn't be able to get out if he wasn't so clever. So that's another part of it, not only being well written, but the production of the film, other than the gothic feel of it, other than the set design and stuff, the directing from this director that I don't really know much about. He did a great job bringing this graphic novel to life. I didn't realize this was a DC Vertigo comic written by Alan Moore, one of the greatest writers, especially in the geeky space ever. And it just made so much sense. And I think he adapted it so well. Obviously, he probably left out a lot, but I think that he did a great job of telling a full story, telling an engaging story, especially for a movie that's a little bit over 2 hours, and this is like a political crime drama. You know, sometimes these kind of movies end up being like hour 20, hour 30, hour 40, but it's 2 hours and 12 minutes, and it's so much going on with the film and so much messed up stuff that they're covering that it needs to take its time to really tell the story for the impact of the finale, which was really, really good to really take place and be memorable. So with all the things and all the puppet pieces he started to move, all the ways he started inspiring different sections of people, like this cop that he started sprinkling information to, and he started getting on board, obviously changing Natalie Portman's Evie character and making her become a revolutionary, and everything that went on with her, where, you know, she was running away and then she thought she was captured and it was actually V torturing her and putting her through all these different things and telling this heartbreaking story about these lesbians that also were tortured and political landscape of how they treated minorities and people of different sexuality at that time, because this came out in 2005. You got to think about how people acted during that time. And all that just changing her and just relieving that fear, not having the fear of dying. Those are the type of people who can make changes, because most likely if you're that type of rebellious leader, you are going to get killed because the government is not going to want you to succeed, obviously, and showing all those different things that the government was doing to cover up, the stuff that V was doing, trying to say that he was dead and everything, and him laying low, making the government just seem stupid because he kept doing things, and it's like, well, no, he's not dead. So that made the general public become smart to like, no, this government is not trustworthy. There is problems, and when they all come together, wearing the mask in the suit at the end, after V has already taken out so many of the people in power, it was just a really powerful moment that I thought was inspiring. And then for Natalie Portman to pull the lever and make the train go there and blow up that building, I think that was really great execution. I can see it turning off some people because of the political messages and things, especially if you're from the UK. But I thought that the messages were not only relevant to today, but just something that's going to be relevant forever, because this is going to be a consistent problem. The government using certain tactics and things like that to make us fearful and then feel like we have to go to only them to get relief. So all that was really great. His backstory and how he not only made this about helping the country, but he took revenge on the people who did him wrong while he was in that facility. And one of the best parts was that conversation he had with that older lady, and how just soft it was, and her knowing that it was going to happen and her accepting it and not struggling like the others, and how he told her like, yeah, you're already dead. I'm just having this conversation with you so you can understand why I'm doing it. I thought all that was really well written, really cool. And yeah, I just thought that this was a masterfully written, directed, and acted film with really standout performances from Hugo Weaving as V, Natalie Portman, who started off okay, but then really became great towards the end of the film, and just the supporting cast doing a really good job. I really, really enjoyed this film. But let me talk about the bad. Feels like this movie should have been longer. I feel like that the beginning of the movie felt a little rushed in terms of the information and the way they were displaying it. And I kind of felt a bit lost watching the movie in the beginning. And it was like, wait, what's going on? I didn't realize this was kind of like an alternate reality after a world war. I just wasn't sure where we were in place and time and what was going on. And I'm not super familiar with the British government and UK government, because certain words and things that they're using, I'm just like, I'm not too sure what that meant. And they're showing the secret police. I didn't realize that they were like made up for it. So there were certain things I feel like they kind of just introduced and just you were supposed to accept it and know. And I guess it was made for the fans who read the novel. But for me, who never read the novel and was just interested in watching the movie, I feel like the beginning of it kind of threw me off a little bit, especially since V was talking really weird. That also threw me off. I was like, oh God, if he's going to do this the whole movie, this is not going to be for me. And luckily that was just at that moment. And he did have other poetic moments throughout the movie, but it wasn't as crazy as that beginning. But I started getting settled into the film and understanding what they were trying to tell. And I kind of started to understand this is an alternate reality, something that could happen and maybe kind of happens. You never know. I don't know if there is a secret police in England, but just that beginning section kind of felt a little bit rushed through so they can get to the meat of the story, and it got me a little lost. Let me know if you felt like that before, if you have recently rewatched the film or have seen the film before. And before, like I was saying, I wish there was more action. I wish that some of these scenes where he's going after these people who've done him wrong, but also holding back the country and doing all these terrible things, I wish they showed him murdering those people. I get the effect of him being there and then the cop showing up, we're seeing the person dead and how that can be effective, but I just wish we saw it, because the movie is it's so much talking, so much positioning, so much puzzle piece making and putting things together, that I think a little bit more action and struggle and showing those moments would have made the movie a little bit more easy to digest and more entertaining. Yeah, I just wish there was a little bit more action in this. Even if the movie ended up being 10 minutes longer and they got that in there, I would have appreciated that as well. But those are just the two main things stood out to me in terms of the faults of the film. Other than that, I think almost everything else was great. So let me get into my verdict. So I'm really, really glad that you guys made me finally watch this film. I really, really enjoyed it a lot. I think this is going to be a film that's going to stay on my mind for a while, and I might want to go read the novel to see if it's more detailed and more world building and more fleshed out. And I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts about V for Vendetta, because I think it's a phenomenal film. I think it's a masterpiece. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Visually, it's really great, even for it being made in 2005. Performances are really solid across the board with two standouts, and the political messaging and all the layering of political messaging and how relevant it is still to this day is just really powerful, and it really makes the movie age really well. So with that said, I'm gonna give V for Vendetta an A. Let me know. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What would you rate V for Vendetta? How did you like the film? If you saw it, do you agree with me and think it's one of the best comic book movies that's put out, or one of the best movies, period? You just take it out of that group and put it in one of the best movies made? Or do you think that it was a little too slow? Let me know all those comments down below. I'm really interested to hear what V for Vendetta fans think and what the haters think as well, or people who like the graphic novel more. I'm really interested to hear all those thoughts. Like the video if you like my review, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified my reviews, reactions, live discussions, and much, much more. And you can catch more of my content